Hi everyone, and welcome back. In case you weren't here to tune in yesterday, I'll tell you what we discussed. We discussed resiliency and how we can be resilient even in difficult times. I urge you to go back and check out that lesson if resiliency is something that you'd like to work on or know more about. As I shared yesterday, my name is Lauren. I work for a company called Compass Mark located in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We provide a program called Leaders of Future Generations to students in the area who possess certain skills that would make them good leaders. We talk about different important topics to help foster those skills and support them as the future leaders of our next generation. Due to the current predicament that many of us are in, we decided to bring these lessons to you at home. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy today's lesson. Okay, let's get started. So today's lesson is on stress. Stress is a word that we use a lot. Many of us really don't understand what it means though, even though we tend to throw it around all the time. We tend to call everything stress, and we tend to think of the word as a negative thing, when in fact, that's not always the case. So today we're going to talk about three main things: stressors, stress, and stress relief. But before we get started, I'm going to show you today's daily quote. Today's quote comes from a former football player and coach, Lou Holtz. Lou said, "It's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way you carry it." I'll let you sit with that for a second. Okay, we'll get back to that later. So, stressor. What is a stressor? Many of you have probably never even heard that word before. So a stressor is some kind of event that is internal or external that causes stress to occur in someone's life. So the thing that stresses you out, for example, homework, having a lot of responsibilities, drama between friends, having bad Wi-Fi connection while you're working from home, just saying. What is important to note is that stressors, we all experience them. You know, when I do this in classrooms, I like to do an activity where I have everybody write something that stresses them out on a piece of paper. You fold it up, don't put your name on it or anything, and you put it into a hat. Then I take the hat and I start to pull them out randomly. And I tell you that if this is something that also stresses you out, that I want you to stand. So then I have kids standing up and down and not standing up and down, and you know, it's up to you. I like this activity because it shows everyone in the class that we all experience similar stressors. But at the same time, we're still individuals. So it's possible that something could stress me out that doesn't stress you out, which is fine. A good example of that is talking in front of a group. I find that some people really don't like to do that, whereas some people love it. So that might be something that the moment you hear that assignment where you're going to have to give a presentation, it starts to make you feel stressed. Or it might be someone who starts to feel really excited, and it's a good stress because they feel really good about it, okay? Another aspect of this activity that I really like is seeing how enthusiastically people stand. Sorry, I meant to turn my sound off on that one. Some kids might shoot right up and they get real passionate and filled with emotion about it, like, oh, that really stresses me out. Whereas other kids kind of waver and they hesitate. Bottom line is that lots of things cause stress. You are not alone in this. Okay, so let's talk about stress itself. Stress is our body's way of responding to physical or mental demands. Stress is what we experience when we have a lot of physical or mental demands placed on us. I don't know about you, but sometimes it feels like there is just too much going on. When I was in school, I wasn't a sports player, but I did take dance classes, cheerleading. I was in the school plays, the chorus, the jazz ensemble, and I spent time choreographing dances at my church. That's a lot of stuff. Then add on friends, family obligations, boys, and let's not forget schoolwork. Then when I got old enough, I started working a part-time job bagging groceries at the Giant. When I say it all aloud, it sounds like a lot of stuff. But I bet if you were to comment below with all the activities and responsibilities that you have going on in your life, you might even have more than I did. And that's great. Especially at this time in your life, it's so important to be exploring your options and embrace this time that you have to get involved in different activities. But filling your schedules like that is bound to come with stress. When we try to balance all of our obligations, the pressure we feel, we experience stress. Stress can present itself in a variety of ways. Physical ways would include like headaches, stomach aches, shaking, racing heartbeat, sweating, and a couple other things. But it could also show up in mental ways or emotional ways with anxiety, sadness, aggression, frustration. So far, this all sounds pretty bad and scary, right? But the truth is, stress isn't a bad thing. Stress can actually be a positive thing. The stress you feel when you're taking a chance or trying out for the sports team or the play that you want to audition for, or maybe asking somebody to the school dance or giving a speech in front of your class, stress can push us to achieve our goals and the things that we set out to do. So to be clear, stress isn't the problem. We are all guaranteed to experience stress at some point. It's what we do with that stress or how we handle it that can cause a problem or can be a good thing. When we don't acknowledge and work to manage our stress, that's when we run into issues about being overwhelmed. Built up stress can even cause health problems. So we have to learn how to manage it. We spoke a little bit about stress management when we talked about coping strategies yesterday. So to remind you, good coping strategies are ones that are healthy and positive, and they don't cause harm to anyone or anything, including yourself. But they can really be anything that works for you. I'm going to show you a few strategies today to help you manage your stress, and then we'll talk about other activities that can help as well. A great first step to managing stress is to learn how to take deep breaths. That might sound really simple, like I know how to breathe, Lauren, but actually a lot of people don't really know how to do it well. So I invite you to try this with me at home. So first, you want to make sure that you are sitting upright with good posture. So maybe like roll your shoulders a couple times. Okay? When we slouch or we lean over our tables, then we tend to cut off our air supply. Okay? I'm sorry if you hear my cat meowing down here. I got a lot of animals here. So we cut off our air supply. What you want to do is you want to have a good posture so that your diaphragm and your lungs have the room to expand. Okay? So we're going to take 3 deep breaths, and we're going to do this in through our noses and then out through our mouths. And we're going to take our time by counting 3 seconds in and 3 seconds out. Okay? So here we go. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. Great. You might even feel a little dizzy. And if you do, I don't want you to feel alarmed. That is normal. We tend to take really small breaths throughout the day, especially when we're upset about something. Our heart tends to beat really fast, which causes us to breathe really quickly. When we take the time to breathe slowly, we actually slow our heartbeat back down and calm ourselves down. This is a technique that works for so many situations. I mean, taking a test, you forget the answer to number 7 and you start to freak out, then you calm yourself down by taking a couple deep breaths, you might remember the answer. Dealing with anger or drama between friends, just trying to calm your stress down when you're feeling overwhelmed, so many things. So take 3 deep breaths and you might have an entirely new perspective on whatever you're dealing with. The next technique is called positive imagery. With this technique, you choose a place or a memory that makes you feel good and you think all about it. The way that it makes you feel to be there, who's there with you, what it smells like, what it feels like, what it sounds like, what the space around you looks like. Bring up as much detail as you possibly can. And the more that you practice this, the easier it'll be for you to draw up this image, okay? So for example, I like to hike and I like to be in nature whenever I can. When I'm feeling stressed or overwhelmed, I like to picture myself sitting in the woods, maybe on a log or a big rock, looking up at the trees and the sky. I can hear the birds singing, I can feel the wind on my face, and I smell that fresh pine air coming from the trees, right? So I allow myself to recall this memory. And when I do, I have a chance to escape from whatever's bothering me. But I get to come back whenever I want to. And hopefully when I do, I feel more calm and I can return to whatever I was doing. So deep breathing and positive imagery are just a few techniques to help you calm your stress. Other activities that we like to do can help as well. I'm going to list some that I've heard from other students in the past. Maybe you'll hear something that you like to do too. Playing sports, going on a run or a walk, hanging out with your pets, as you could hear, I have a few. Talking to your friends, watching TV or YouTube, playing video games, reading, doing yoga or meditation, writing in a journal, playing an instrument or singing, dancing, drawing or painting, sitting alone or listening to music. There are so many more, right? I could go on and on and on. Hopefully I said something that you enjoy, or I gave you an idea of something to do. So to recap, stressors are events or occurrences that cause us to feel stress. Stress itself is our body's reaction to physical or mental demands. Sometimes we might feel overwhelmed, like we have too much going on and can't handle it. But if we take a step back and manage the way that we feel about it, we might realize that in fact we can handle it and we're going to be great at it. So let's revisit that quote from earlier. Lou Holtz said, "It's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way you carry it." I think what Lou is trying to tell us is that it's okay to have a lot going on, or to be balancing several different responsibilities. If we can learn how to keep ourselves calm, make time for activities that relieve our stress, and manage our time so that we don't get too overwhelmed, then we can handle anything. Certainly, we can handle stress. When we talk about being a leader, we have to understand that leaders experience quite a bit of stress. On top of whatever activity they're doing, they're also leading people in that activity. As a leader, you have a lot of goals, okay? And you want your team to achieve them, and you're the one guiding them to achieve them. So this can cause stress, especially when you have several responsibilities to deal with all at the same time. But if you're able to manage your stress and channel it into the work that you're doing, you could be a really successful leader. And the people that you're leading will probably even look up to you for how you managed your stress. Great. So now I'd like to give you some discussion questions that you can use to continue this conversation at home or with your friends. What stressors have you experienced lately? So thinking about things that have been going on in your life this week, maybe last week, maybe just today. What have you experienced lately? What do you like to do to handle your stress? So again, these are positive, healthy activities that don't harm anybody else or anything else. But there's so many that we could come up with. So what do you like to do? And how can you use your stress to be a better leader? Great. I hope you have some awesome conversations with those questions. For today's at-home activity, I would encourage you, or I'd like you, to try one of the strategies that we mentioned earlier. Perhaps the deep breathing exercise, maybe the positive imagery, or maybe one of the fun extracurricular activities that we mentioned. And I'd love to hear how it went in the comment section below. Or if there's something that I didn't list, feel free to do that. Okay, you don't have to just follow my list. But I would really love to hear it. If you have more ideas, I could add your activity to my list from now on. I've included the list along with the discussion questions in the information section below. Well, I hope you all enjoyed today's lesson on stress and stress management. I look forward to reading your comments and thoughts below. Really, please do it. Say hi. I'm lonely. Stay safe, stay well, and I'll see you tomorrow.